Have you ever noticed how some people only remember you when they need something, not when you are tired, not when you are hurting, but exactly when they want your time, your energy, your kindness? Let me say something that may feel uncomfortable at first. Just because you have a big heart does not mean everyone deserves access to it. As we grow older, something very important begins to happen inside us. The noise of the world gets quieter, but the truth gets louder. You start seeing patterns you once ignored. The friend who only calls when they need money. The relative who treats your kindness like a permanent obligation. The people who never ask, "Are you okay?" but always say, "Can you help me?" And for many years, you probably did help. You showed up. You sacrificed your time. You carried their emotional weight. Not because you were weak, but because you were loving. But here is the painful truth most people only learn late in life. Some people don't value your help. They only value your availability. There is a difference. Helping someone who is struggling can be beautiful. It can build connection, compassion, and community. But constantly rescuing people who refuse to grow, who drain your peace, who leave you exhausted and unseen, that is not kindness. That is self-abandonment. Old age brings a powerful gift, clarity. And with that clarity comes a difficult but necessary realization. Not everyone who asks for your help deserves it anymore. There comes a quiet moment in life when you begin to look back and realize just how much of yourself you have given away. Years, sometimes decades, spent showing up for people who rarely showed up for you. You listened to their problems at midnight. You dropped your plans to fix their crisis. You offered advice, support, money, patience again and again. And every time you told yourself the same comforting story. This is what good people do. But something changes as you grow older. You start noticing the imbalance. You begin to see that the same people who lean on you so heavily somehow manage to stand perfectly fine when it comes to supporting you. When you struggle, they disappear. When you need understanding, they become busy. When you set even the smallest boundary, suddenly you are labeled selfish, distant, or cold. And that moment, that painful moment, reveals a powerful truth. Some relationships survive only because you keep sacrificing yourself. Think about that for a second. If the connection collapses the moment you stop over giving, was it ever truly a healthy relationship? Real love does not require you to constantly empty yourself. Real respect does not demand endless emotional labor. Real connection does not punish you for protecting your peace. Yet many people reach old age still trapped in the role of the helper, the fixer, the emotional caretaker. And the cost is heavy. It steals your energy. It steals your peace. Sometimes it even steals your sense of self. But here is the truth most people never say out loud. Helping everyone is not a sign of strength. Sometimes it's a sign you forgot how to help yourself. One of the hardest truths to accept in life is this: some people don't want help, they want access. Access to your time, access to your patience, access to your emotional energy. And if you have spent most of your life being the strong one, the dependable one, the one who always says, "I'll handle it," then you know exactly what this feels like. People come to you because they know you won't say no. Not because they respect your boundaries, but because they know you don't have any. For years, you may have believed that helping others made you valuable. That being needed meant you were loved. But being needed and being valued are two very different things. Being needed can sometimes mean people rely on your sacrifice. Being valued means people care about your well-being too. And many people don't realize this until they are older, when their energy is no longer endless, when their patience is no longer infinite, when their heart is simply tired. You start noticing how certain conversations always leave you drained. You start recognizing the familiar pattern. Someone arrives with chaos. You offer stability, and somehow you are the one left emotionally exhausted. This is not coincidence. It is a dynamic. And the longer you stay in that dynamic, the more it quietly teaches people something dangerous. Your kindness has no limits. But kindness without limits is not kindness anymore. It becomes permission for others to keep taking, permission for others to ignore your needs, permission for others to treat your generosity like an unlimited resource. And here is the quiet revolution that often begins in old age. You finally realize your energy is precious, and not everyone deserves it. There is a moment in life when your body begins to tell you what your heart has been trying to say for years. You feel tired in a way that sleep doesn't fix. Not physically tired, emotionally tired. Tired of always being the strong one. Tired of always understanding everyone else. Tired of always being the person who forgives, explains, supports, and rescues. And somewhere deep inside, a quiet voice begins to whisper a question you may have avoided for years. Who is taking care of me? Because the truth is, many people who constantly give their help rarely receive the same care in return. They become the emotional safety net for everyone around them. If someone is struggling, they call you. If someone makes a mistake, you clean it up. If someone feels lost, you guide them. But when you feel overwhelmed, suddenly the room becomes very quiet. And that silence can be painful. It forces you to confront a difficult realization. Some people built their comfort on top of your sacrifice. Your patience allowed them to avoid responsibility. Your forgiveness allowed them to repeat the same behavior. Your constant help prevented them from ever growing stronger themselves. And this is where self-respect begins to awaken. Self-respect is not loud. It is not cruel. It does not scream or attack. Self-respect simply says something powerful and calm. I will not keep hurting myself to make life easier for people who refuse to grow. As we age, our priorities shift. Peace becomes more valuable than approval. Energy becomes more valuable than obligation. And slowly, courage begins to replace guilt. The courage to admit something many people fear to say: not everyone deserves your help anymore. Many of us were raised to believe that saying no makes us selfish. We were taught that good people sacrifice, good people help, good people endure. So we learned to ignore our own limits. We said yes when we were exhausted. We said yes when we felt used. We said yes even when something deep inside us whispered, "This isn't fair." And the longer you live this way, the more dangerous the pattern becomes, because people start building their lives around your endless availability. They assume you will fix things. They assume you will forgive everything. They assume you will always be there, no matter how little they give in return. But here is something many people only discover later in life. Every time you say yes to something that drains you, you say no to your own peace. Think about that. When you constantly solve someone else's problems, your own life becomes smaller, your energy shrinks, your patience disappears, your joy slowly fades. And yet, the people who benefit from your constant help rarely notice the cost you are paying. Not because they are always cruel, but because they have become comfortable with your sacrifice, comfortable with your silence, comfortable with the idea that your needs will always come last. But aging brings a powerful awakening. You begin to realize that your time is not unlimited anymore. Your energy is not endless. And suddenly a new question becomes important. Do I want to spend the rest of my life carrying people who refuse to walk on their own? Because real help does not create dependence. Real help encourages growth. And sometimes the most loving thing you can do is stop rescuing. There is a painful pattern that many generous people experience, especially as they grow older. The moment you stop over, giving, some people begin to disappear. They stop calling. They stop visiting. They stop pretending to care. And at first, this can feel deeply hurtful. You may wonder, did I do something wrong? But what you are really witnessing is something important being revealed. You are seeing the difference between people who loved you and people who relied on you. Those are not the same thing. People who truly care about you will respect your limits. They will understand when you are tired. They will appreciate your honesty when you say you cannot help. But people who were only benefiting from your kindness will react very differently. They may guilt you. They may accuse you of changing. They may say things like, "You used to be so supportive, you've become cold. I thought you cared about me." But here is the truth hiding behind those accusations. They are not mourning the loss of your love. they are mourning the loss of your unlimited availability. And that realization can be incredibly freeing because it shows you something powerful. The relationship was never balanced to begin with. For years, you may have been the emotional engine keeping that connection alive. Without your effort, it collapses, but that collapse is not a failure. It is clarity. It reveals which relationships were built on mutual respect and which ones were built on your silent sacrifice. And clarity, even when it hurts, is one of the greatest gifts that comes with age. One of the most misunderstood ideas in our culture is the belief that boundaries are selfish. But boundaries are not walls meant to punish people. Boundaries are doors with locks. They allow the right people to enter your life with respect, and they prevent the wrong people from treating your kindness like an open invitation to take more and more. For many people, old age is the first time they truly understand this. After decades of giving, fixing, explaining, forgiving, and tolerating, something inside finally says, enough, not with anger, not with bitterness, but with deep, quiet clarity. Because when you start protecting your time and energy, something surprising happens. The people who truly value you will adjust. They will respect your limits. They will appreciate the help you offer without demanding more. They will care about your well-being just as much as their own problems. But the people who were used to draining, you will feel threatened. Your boundaries remove the comfort they once had. Suddenly, they can't rely on you to solve everything. Suddenly, they must face their own responsibilities. And sometimes, they will try to push back. They may test your limits. They may pressure you. They may even try to make you feel guilty for protecting yourself. But here is something deeply important to remember. A boundary is not an attack. It is an act of self-respect. It is you saying, my kindness still exists, but it is no longer available for exploitation. And that shift changes everything, because the moment you start respecting your own energy, the entire dynamic of your relationships begins to transform. There is a quiet wisdom that often arrives with age, and it changes the way you see the world. You begin to realize that peace is more valuable than being liked. For most of our lives, many of us try to maintain harmony at any cost. We avoid conflict. We smooth over problems. We help people even when it drains us, just to keep relationships intact. But over time, you start noticing something important. Keeping everyone comfortable often means keeping yourself uncomfortable. You tolerate disrespect so others won't feel awkward. You ignore your exhaustion so others won't feel disappointed. You keep giving even when your heart is quietly asking for rest. And one day, something inside you wakes up. You begin to understand that constantly sacrificing your peace is not kindness. It is self-neglect. Because peace is not something that magically appears at the end of life. It is something you protect decision by decision, relationship by relationship. You begin asking different questions. Does this person bring calm into my life or chaos? Do I feel respected here or just useful when I leave this conversation? Do I feel stronger or completely drained? These questions are powerful. They help you see which connections nurture your spirit and which ones quietly consume it. And here is the truth many people discover late in life. Not every relationship deserves unlimited access to you. Some people belong in your close circle. Some belong at a healthy distance, and some need to stay outside the door entirely. Choosing peace over constant obligation is not cruelty. It is wisdom. It is the understanding that the years you have left deserve to be lived with dignity, calm, and emotional freedom. One of the most powerful realizations that comes with age is this: you cannot save people who are committed to their own chaos. For years, you may have believed that if you just tried harder, cared more, gave more advice, offered more help, eventually things would change. Eventually they would learn. Eventually they would grow. Eventually they would appreciate everything you have done. But life has a way of teaching a difficult lesson. Some people are not looking for solutions. They are looking for someone to absorb the consequences of their choices. They repeat the same mistakes again and again. The same financial problems, the same toxic relationships, the same emotional drama, and every time things fall apart, they turn to the same person for rescue. You, not because you caused the problem, but because you have always been willing to fix it. But here is the truth that many wise people discover later in life. Helping someone who refuses to learn is not compassion, it is enabling. Every time you remove the consequences, you also remove the opportunity for growth. You keep them comfortable inside patterns that will never change. And slowly, something important begins to shift inside you. You stop trying to control outcomes that were never yours to control. You stop exhausting yourself trying to repair people who are not ready to repair themselves. And instead, you focus your energy somewhere it truly matters, on your health, on your peace, on the people who genuinely value your presence. Because at a certain point in life, wisdom whispers something simple but powerful. You are not responsible for carrying everyone else's life on your shoulders.